On this episode of China Uncensored, the silver screen is turning red. Hi, welcome to China Uncensored. I'm your host, Chris Chappell. We've talked about it before. That toxic wasteland spewing its pollution around the world. Actually, I'm talking about Hollywood. But Hollywood may have met its match in China. By the end of next year, it's estimated that China may become the world's biggest movie box office. Yes, even bigger than the United States. Moviegoers in China will pay an estimated $8.3 billion by the end of this year. That's just a few billion away from catching up with the US. In fact, Hollywood movies are now often made with the Chinese market in mind. Because if a studio wants its next major blockbuster to take up a chunk of that multi-billion-dollar market, it will have to play by the Communist Party's rules. China only allows 34 foreign films a year. Is it about protecting China's own film industry? Partly, but it's also about censoring ideas that could, undermine social harmony. So what are Chinese censors looking for? Well, just ask party mouthpiece Xinhua. According to a draft of China's new film industry handbook, people in the film industry must have moral integrity. How do you do that? Practice core socialist values. If a Hollywood studio wants to guarantee success in what may soon be the world's biggest movie market, that means censor yourself or get censored by the State Administration of Press, Publication, Radio, Film, and Television, SAPFT. But this is about even more than just preventing Chinese people from seeing movies that don't adhere to core socialist values. This is part of a concerted effort by the Chinese Communist Party to control what comes out of Hollywood. They want to change the way Americans and the rest of the world think about China. For more on this, I sat down with national security and cyber espionage expert Joshua Phillip, who recently wrote this article in the Epoch Times. Thanks again for joining us, Josh. The last time you were on the show, you told us how China uses cyber espionage to wage war on the United States, and I couldn't sleep for a week. So, tell me why I can never enjoy a movie again.
The Chinese Communist Party has vast systems of forcing Hollywood to self-censor or enticing them to co-produce films alongside the Chinese Communist Party so that they have a direct hand in censoring the films during the production process.
Is this just to control what people see inside of China, or does it affect us here?
It very much affects us here. Again, it ties back to what they call culture warfare, but also what they call soft power. This is altering the perceptions of the Chinese Communist Party and Chinese governance. You can't show the Chinese Communist Party in a negative light. You can't show the United States or the U.S. military in a positive light.
Wait, how do they make Hollywood not portray the U.S. positively?
Well, if the U.S. creates a film that shows the U.S. military or the United States in a positive light, that film cannot be shown in China.
Really?
And they lose the Chinese market because of that. So the film Captain Phillip, I think it was with Tom Hanks, that film that was banned in China because it showed the U.S. military, rescuing a one guy. The United States, mobilizing its whole military to rescue one person, which China would never do.
This encourages Hollywood studios to never make a film showing the U.S. government in a positive light, because then that movie won't get into the China market, which is going to be the biggest movie market in the world. So why make a movie that won't make a lot of money?
Well, and that's the idea. Why would, from the very get-go, they need to think, would we be willing to sacrifice, doubling our income potentially, or just remove this scene that shows America in a positive light, or just change the script around a little bit so it doesn't show America positively or it doesn't show China negatively. And this is the kind of thought process that filmmakers are putting into their movies from the very get-go and through the entire process. And this is the environment of self-censorship that China has created for the film markets.
Now that's interesting, because I always thought the reason China had those censorship laws was to control what people inside of China see. But really, the Chinese government is doing this to control what we in the U.S. see as well.
That's right. And this actually ties to more, kind of conniving, strategies.
The Communist Party conniving?
They directly call it culture war. In their own words, Hu Jintao has used that exact phrase.
Sounds very cultured.
So is Xi Jinping, as a matter of fact. Nazi Germany did the same thing, the Soviets did the same thing, and China is now doing the same thing as well.
So I'm going to be thinking about this every time I see a movie now. Do you enjoy making people feel horrible?
Well, if it's raising awareness about accurate issues, I think people should feel horrible when they realize that films are being manipulated with the intention of altering the way they view the world. Films are a core piece of the American identity. Films are a common topic we use in conversations with each other. For a lot of us, we quote films casually during conversations. It's you're sitting around with friends, you're going to quote a film or two 90% of the time.
You're tearing me apart.
And if a government is manipulating these systems of culture for the purpose of altering the way we view the world, altering the way we view ourselves, altering the way we view international issues, and I think it's an issue of serious concern.
Well, thank you very much for joining us again today. Josh, what do you think? And if you'd like some more specific examples of how China influences Hollywood, check out my previous episode, 5 Hollywood Films Infiltrated by China. Want to read Josh's article? Link is in the description below. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. See you next time. 5 Hollywood movies infiltrated by China. Who would have thought a one-party state wouldn't approve of democracy?